Okay, so it's 9 p.m. again. The house is finally quiet. And I've maybe 2 hours before I need to sleep and do it all again tomorrow. And I have a problem. That problem is called MMORPG. You know, games like World of Warcraft used to be my life. I used to just play it all the time. But they stopped fitting into my life. I got married, I work full time, I have a daughter, I have a mortgage to pay. You know, all of these things are wonderful things. Well, minus the mortgage. But they also mean that I couldn't commit to a 7 p.m. raid schedule. I can't keep up with a gear treadmill that reset my progress every 6 months, when a new expansion drops. I felt like I was paying a monthly subscription just to be behind towards the end of my World of Warcraft life. So MMORPG is just not a genre that a busy adult like you and me can enjoy. Or is it? Why does YouTube show me videos on this one particular MMORPG? And that would be Guild Wars 2 if you hadn't noticed. With its horizontal progression and no monthly subs, casual friendly, soloable, what's all this? So the question I'm asking tonight is, can a busy adult actually enjoy an MMORPG all over again? Can we fall in love again? Specifically, is Guild Wars 2 truly the definitive home for the tired gamer, you and me? Now, I'm not doing a review of Guild Wars 2, there are plenty that's out there. Rather, I'm just giving you my opinions, my 2 cents on Guild Wars 2 as that MMORPG to play during our limited weeknight sessions. Does this game fit us, the busy adults? We're tired, our brain capacity is lacking, is basically what I'm trying to figure out. So I logged in, I picked the Necromancer as my class because I hear that this is one of the easiest classes to play and the one that's really popular among solo players. And also my main in World of Warcraft was a warlock, so it fitted me. And within minutes of character creation, I was in the game and I was just playing, because all of this, the look and feel, the UI, the quests and the way you fight, the tap targeting, all these things seemed familiar. They are the types of systems that I am very used to. What I really appreciated from the get-go was that there was no sense of where do I start, there was no panic. There was no sense of dread that I had missed lots of seasons. There's lots to catch up on. In Guild Wars 2, there seems nothing really for me to catch up on. That's great. And that's because Guild Wars 2 is built on horizontal progression. This is a concept that's really, really fresh for me because in all the other MMORPGs that I've played, the progression was always vertical, not horizontal. So in most MMORPGs, when a new expansion drops, your legendary gear, that awesome sword, becomes a butter knife, But here in Guild Wars 2, the max level has been set in 80 since 2012 when it first came out. The best armor you can craft is the same now as it was 10 years ago, and it has the exact same stats. The most powerful weapon that you can get for your class hasn't really changed in the last 10 plus years, or so I hear. This is groundbreaking for people like you and me because when we only have an hour or two to play, this quote-unquote horizontal progression changes everything because you're not playing to catch up on other people. You're playing to experience. And that means, yeah, sure, you'll play less hours than many other peers, but, at the end of the day, you can be assured that sooner or later, you're gonna get there. You're gonna meet all the others at that end game level because the ceiling has been set. There's only so much you can go up, and there's only so much you can grind, only so much you can craft. Once you get there, that's it. Your playing field is leveled. And I know that this could be a letdown for very competitive mind players or people who like to be the world first or the top of the ladder on PvP or something along those lines. But for me, and I suspect for many of you who are like me, this design is just perfect. The game's also famously solo friendly, but not in a way that feels lonely. That's what I've found. Because honestly, playing Guild Wars 2, you see other people everywhere. In World of Warcraft, for example, you wouldn't see many players in earlier zones because everybody congregates the end field, the final region. But in this game, because of the horizontal progression, I guess, there's just no real sense of, abandoned zones per se, because there are always things to do in every zone, I guess, and there are always people playing there. So it's a really weird, wonderful concept of being really solo friendly, but at the same time, you're always around people. So yeah, I mean, I'm very surprised and I really applaud the developers for going this route, because this is MMORPG, is supposedly massively multiplayer online. In most other MMORPGs, it's only massively multiplayer online when you get to that final zone where everyone is. While you're leveling up and gearing up, you are in a massive online, not massively multiplayer online, because all the multiplayer bit, the players are not really anywhere where you can see them. Guild Wars 2 is so different. It feels like a living, breathing world, if I'm to be, a little bit cliche. And Guild Wars 2 has this dynamic events that happen all around the world. This system means that you don't really need to find a group. You just stumble into one. You'll be wandering a map and suddenly a giant sort of void monster boss thing, the world boss, drops. And suddenly 40 people are there fighting beside you. No invites, no pressure, just shared victory. Or you might just be wandering a place and you might just stumble upon, the same group of 40 people defeating the world boss, and you would go, oh dang, if I was here like 10 minutes earlier, I could have joined in. And then you go, okay, next time I'm going to make sure that I'll be here next time. It's all great storytelling, I think. So if you're looking for a low friction entry, this is probably the game, if you're at all interested in MMORPGs. And pick classes like the Necromancer or the Ranger or a Guardian. Those are solo friendly classes from what I hear. They all seem to have high survivability and minions or pets or other defensive skills that really helps you along the way, letting you enjoy the world with all its MMORPG, the multiplayer glory, all these dynamic events happening all over the place without a stressful rotation burned into your brain. So a simple enough MMORPG that gives you that real MMORPG feel. I think it's a rare combination. But how does Guild Wars 2 actually score in our metrics? Well, first of all, let's look at the brain load. Now, there is a learning curve because, it's an MMORPG, so there's bound to be a learning curve. The control scheme, the UI, various currencies, crafting, they would all be familiar to people who have enjoyed MMORPGs in the past, but nevertheless, there are, multiple systems in this game that you need to be familiarized with. And while the combat can be played half-focused, the inventory and especially the crafting systems require a bit of mental sorting before you feel truly settled. But again, That's typical of many other, actually, most other MMORPGs that I've played. It's not overwhelming unless you have never played these types of games before, but at the same time, it's not a total brain of simulator either. So for a tired brain, it's manageable, but not green light. So I would say it's a very manageable yellow light. So the next is progress satisfaction. So every session you spend in playing Guild Wars 2 do seem to count. Because, like I said, the level cap never raises. Every achievement, skin or piece of gear is a permanent addition to your account, and their value is unlikely to diminish. You can finish one map or a few quests, or maybe do some personal story quests, and maybe fight some world bosses, participate in some, group sort of activities, and you can log off feeling like you've done something, you've enjoyed your time. You've created your own story. And for a busy player, that's a resounding green light. Finally, vibe. Now, the community is famously helpful because players aren't competing against each other. The world is gorgeous, the music sweeping, and there's no ticking clock of any sort forcing you to rush anywhere in the game. It's an atmosphere that invites you to breathe in the atmosphere, the experience, rather than stress, which is fairly unknown in the MMORPG world as far as I'm concerned. So, the vibe for this game is also green, a green light. If it sounds like I'm heaping praise upon Guild Wars 2, that's because I am, this is not a technical review. So, Guild Wars 2 is an old game, so there are better looking games out there. There are games with better systems, games with better combat, maybe even better sort of interactivity within the game, But Guild Wars 2 just feels right for a busy adult gamer who has 2 hours of playtime each night. It just feels right. So, because of that, the final verdict that I'm going to give Guild Wars 2 is that of the definitive weeknight MMORPG. If there ever was one, this is gonna be it. Guild Wars 2 is one of the few games in the MMORPG genre, maybe the only one, that understands you have a career, a family, and a sleep schedule. It doesn't demand your life. It just offers a world to escape into. When the house finally goes quiet, your kids are asleep, and you have 2 hours of your own free time. So the bottom line for us is this. If you're a former MMORPG player who stepped away from the genre because life got too real, this might be the only one worth coming back to. Because while other games ask you to commit, this one just asks you to play. So that's the 9 PM test. Have you found an MMORPG that actually respects your time, just like I found in Guild Wars 2? Or did you give up on the genre entirely? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe for more honest looks at how we actually play games after work. Until next time, bye for now.